Yo, what's going on guys? Mush back at it with another video, and this is going to be a discussion style video, so after you're done watching, make sure you guys chime into the comment section down below. And in this video, I want to talk about resolution and how the standard of resolutions has evolved or hasn't evolved on PC, because really I don't know if it has, and what I'm saying is that 1080p for a long time, ever since I got into PC gaming, we're talking back in 2011, that was the resolution that people aimed to play their games at, and that was very standard. You would see some people still playing games at 900p, but just about everybody was moving over to 1080p gaming. It has been 6 years since then, and if you look at it 2011 versus 2005, people in 2005 weren't really looking to play games at 1080p, at least I don't think so, but we've had 6 years since 2011 since I got into PC gaming, so that's the kind of anecdotal experience you guys are going to be getting from me since 2011, and still in 2017, from what I hear talking to people, 1080p is still the resolution that people look to play their games at. And that's very surprising to me because the entry level to 1080p gaming is lower than ever. Back in 2011, if you wanted to do high quality PC gaming at 1080p, the biggest game at the time, 2011, was Battlefield 3, I remember, because that was one of the pivotal games that made me jump over to PC. If you wanted to run that game maxed out at 60 frames per second at 1080p, it was very difficult. And Battlefield 3 wasn't even the highest end game out at the time, but to run that game 1080p maxed out at 60 FPS, one of the most popular GPUs at the time, I believe, was the GTX 560 Ti. That was like $250, and that GPU could not max out Battlefield 3 at 1080p ultra settings and get 60 FPS. If I remember correctly, people were setting up SLI configurations with 560 Ti's 1080p, and then you could start hitting 60 FPS, but there would still be some dips, but it was a really smooth experience. But that's a $500 GPU solution to get Battlefield 3 running at 60 FPS at 1080p. Very, very expensive. We'll say $400 if you could find a good deal on it. Still very expensive for 1080p gaming. That is not the case anymore. You see GPUs like the RX 480 down to $150, and while that can't run every game at 1080p maxed out at 60 FPS, comparatively speaking to what the 560 Ti was doing in 2011, the RX 480 at a much cheaper price is doing much more at the newest games. So it's very interesting to me that the entry level for 1080p gaming has gotten a lot lower, but yet to me, my anecdotal experience, what I see people messaging me, sending me messages, commenting on my videos, it doesn't seem like people are ready to move away from 1080p gaming, because with 1080p gaming getting cheaper, 1440p and 4K gaming has also gotten cheaper. 4K is still very, very expensive, so I definitely understand why people are hesitant to jump to 4K. Honestly speaking, 1440p is now what the standard for PC gaming to me is, because a $400 GPU like the GTX 1070 pushes games at 1440p very well. You can pretty much play every game at that resolution, not maxed out 60 FPS. You can't really ever do that, and I speak on that a lot because there's always anomalies in PC gaming where some games, whether it be a bad port or just very intensive, you can't just put a term like this GPU can run every game at X resolution at X frame rate, because there are so many variables at PC gaming. But nonetheless, the GTX 1070 is going to give you a very, very nice experience at 1440p, yet I see people buying GTX 1070s and still gaming at 1080p, which is very interesting to me. That I definitely do see people jumping over to 1440p now, comparatively speaking to like 3-4 years ago, but still it's nowhere near to the level that I would expect from people, and I don't know why that is. I can't put my finger on it. Is it because the consoles run the majority of games at 1080p and people see that and they just want to play games at 1080p? Is it because the price of 1440p monitors are still relatively expensive? Honestly, I think that might be one of the main reasons why people might be put off from gaming at 1440p, is the cost of the monitors, especially considering a high quality 1080p monitor is only like $100, and then 1440p monitors are obviously far more expensive than that. But the actual hardware itself to run games at 1440p, it's super cheap. I have a very mid-level PC, but I have an Intel Core i5, I have 8GB of RAM, and then I have a 1070, and I can play just about any game at 1440p and get a really nice experience. But whenever I see comments, it's always, Mush, we want to see this game at 1080p. How does this GPU run this game at 1080p? Nobody really ever asked me, how does this GPU run the game at 1440p? And that's very interesting to me. Personally, I think it is because of the monitor prices. I just don't think a lot of people want to drop high levels of cash on monitors. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I would really like your guys' input in the comment section down below. And let me know, have you made the jump to 1440p? Are you hesitant about it? Maybe you made the jump to 4K, and let me know why you went one way opposed to the other. One thing that is so great about 1080p gaming, it is so ridiculously cheap right now. You pick up an RX 480 and then you pick up a 1080p monitor that's only $100. That's a very, very cheap solution. Whereas with with 1440p, you do have to pick up a 1070, and then you have to pick up the 1440p monitor. You don't even have to go as high-end as a 1070. Honestly, a 1070 might even be overkill. You could even do some nice 1440p gaming with an RX 480, and then obviously with the 1440p monitor, you can adjust the resolution for each specific game. But again, it just doesn't seem to me like people are interested in 1440p gaming as much as I would expect. And what's even more interesting is that on consoles, you've got stuff like the PS4 Pro out, and that's pushing games at higher resolution, but like, nobody really cares. Some people seem to care about 4K gaming, but honestly, the majority of people, to me, again, my anecdotal experience is that 1080p is still the way to go. The majority of gamers are still looking to play games at 1080p. But like I said, I want to hear everybody's point of view, whether you have a PC built, whether you're looking to build a PC, what resolution are you aiming to play your games at? Because right now, I do think we are in that transition period of things getting very cheap, but I don't see a lot of people making that jump over to a higher resolution. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. As I said, leave your comments down below. Super interested to see what you guys have to say. If you have a request for a future video, you can also leave that in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.